My name is Brenda. I am 27 years old. I signed my divorce papers before I understood what love really was. I was still a virgin when my marriage ended, and I did not know how that could be possible. I used to think purity would save me. I believed it would protect my heart. I believed it would make my marriage strong. I did not understand it then. I grew up in a quiet house. My mother spoke softly. My father worked long hours. Love was shown through clean clothes, hot food, and silence. We did not talk about feelings. We did not talk about bodies. We talked about good behavior. We talked about patience. From a young age, I learned to wait. I waited for permission. I waited for approval. I waited for the right time. I was told that a good girl keeps herself pure. A good girl waits for her husband. A good girl does not ask too much. I believed all of it. I held on to it like a rule written inside my chest. I met Daniel when I was 24. He worked in the same office as me. He wore plain shirts and always smelled like clean soap. He smiled with his eyes before his mouth. He spoke kindly and never rushed his words. He noticed small things. He noticed when I drank my coffee too fast. He noticed when I stayed late at my desk. When he spoke to me, he looked at my face, not my body. That made me feel safe. We started talking during lunch. We shared simple stories. He talked about his job, his plans, his quiet dreams. I listened more than I spoke. I always listened. One day, he asked me to dinner. My hands shook when I said yes. I told myself to stay calm. I told myself this was normal. Inside, my heart felt too loud. We dated slowly. We held hands. We walked in the evening. Sometimes our shoulders touched, and I felt heat rush through me. I pulled back without meaning to. Daniel never pushed. He never asked for more. He said he respected me. He said he admired my values. When he said that, I felt proud. I also felt afraid, but I did not know why. After 1 year, he asked me to marry him. It was quiet. No crowd, no music, just his voice and my name. I said yes before my fear could speak. The wedding was simple. White dress, soft lights. My mother cried. My father shook Daniel's hand. People smiled and said kind words. They said I was lucky. They said I was pure. That night, everything felt heavy. The room was silent. The bed looked too large. I sat on the edge and waited. Daniel was gentle. He asked if I was okay. I nodded. My body felt stiff, like it was not mine. My thoughts were loud. I told myself to be a good wife. I told myself to be brave. But my body did not move. My voice did not come. I felt fear rise in my chest, slow and thick. I pulled away. Daniel stopped. He looked confused. He did not get angry. He said we could wait. He said there was no rush. I felt relief and shame at the same time. That was the first night. It was not the last. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. We shared a home, but not closeness. We ate together. We slept side by side. We talked about work and bills and plans. At night, I stayed tense. My body stayed closed. My mind stayed far away. I did not understand what was wrong with me. I had waited for this my whole life. Daniel tried to be patient. He tried to talk. I avoided his eyes. I said I was tired. I said I needed time. He believed me. I began to feel like a problem that could not be fixed. Every morning, I made coffee and stood by the window. I watched people walk by. Couples laughed. Some argued. They looked real. I felt like a ghost behind the glass. I started to blame myself. I told myself I was broken. I told myself purity had made me weak. I told myself I had failed as a wife. Daniel grew quieter. His smiles faded. His eyes stopped searching for mine. He stayed longer at work. When he came home, he looked tired in a deep way. One evening, he asked if we could talk. His voice was calm, but his hands shook. That scared me more than anger. He said he loved me. He said he respected me. He also said he felt alone. He said marriage should feel shared, not distant. I wanted to speak, but my throat felt tight. I said I was sorry. That was all I knew how to say. After that, silence grew between us. It sat at the table, it lay in the bed, it followed us from room to room. I tried to change. I read books, I prayed, I told myself to try harder. But every time Daniel came close, my body reacted with fear, not love. One night, I realized something important. I had learned how to stay pure, but I had never learned how to feel safe inside myself. That truth scared me. I saw a doctor, then a counselor. I spoke words I had never spoken before. I talked about my childhood. I talked about silence. I talked about fear. The counselor listened. She did not judge. She said my body was protecting me. She said I had learned to disconnect to survive. I cried in her office. I cried because I felt seen. I cried because I felt late. I cried because I did not know if my marriage could wait. I told Daniel what I learned. I tried to explain in simple words. He listened. He nodded. He held my hand. But something had changed. He was already tired. Love needs time, but it also needs hope. A few months later, he said he wanted to separate. He said it gently. He said he did not blame me. He said he needed a life that felt full. I did not fight him. I did not beg. I felt a strange calm. I think part of me had been preparing for this. The divorce was quiet. Papers, signatures, no shouting, no tears in the office. When it was done, I walked outside and breathed deeply. I was still a virgin. I was also divorced. For a long time, I felt empty. I woke up alone. I ate alone. I sat in silence that felt different now. It was not heavy. It was open. I kept going to counseling. I learned to listen to my body. I learned that purity without choice is not purity. It is fear dressed as goodness. I did not hate Daniel. I understood him. We had both tried. We had both suffered in silence. One evening, months later, I sat with a cup of tea. Rain tapped softly on the window. I placed my hand on my chest and felt my breath. For the first time, I did not feel ashamed. I understood something then. My worth was never in what I kept or gave. It was in my honesty with myself. I am still learning. I am still healing. I do not rush anymore. Sometimes I think of my marriage like a white dress folded away, clean, unused, but still part of my story. I stand by the window again, watching the rain fall. This time, I am not behind the glass. I am here. I am whole.